On his first day on the job, President Thorne knew that the road ahead would be long. He had to hire staff and organize a college, all within a matter of months. Despite the short amount of time, he was up to the challenge.
What is a typical day like as president of this brand new institution in the first year?
Well, the first major assignment was finding a vice president, and that wound up being Dr. Abel. Abel was from Spring Branch when Dr. Landrum was working with trying to organize a county-wide junior college for Harris County. Jewell was assistant superintendent, and so he ran the school system while Landrum was on leave of absence. So I knew Joe there. When Landrum came back, Joe resigned at Aldi at Spring Branch and went to work for the Harris County Department of Education, handling some special programs in the schools. In fact, he worked out of the Aldi administration building for part time. So I knew Joe real well. And when I offered Joe the job, I was really surprised. He was at a meeting in Austin, and I called over there and had him paged to call me back. And when I offered him the job, he was a little bit hesitant. He said, "Well, let me think about it and I'll get back in touch with you." That wasn't what I expected. But the next day or the next, he called and accepted the job. And then he began recruiting the permanent staff. Dr. McMillan, Lester Burke, Roy Lazenby, McMillan, and Charles Chance, and that was in nearly third grade, were the first permanent staff people we had, and the rest of them were part-time staff. So Joe ran that part of the business, and I worked with the architect and the board and the site committee and doing the business end of the thing, and Joe did the education, structural part of it.
So I also understand the first classes were held in 1973, with the first official class being held in April at Humble High School. That was defensive driver training. And in June of that year, non-credit classes were held at Aldine High School. And then that fall is when credit classes started being held.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was about a student population of about 600.
We had hoped to have 350 register that first time. There was a hurricane dancing around off the coast of Galveston down there. It was pouring rain. I got out to high school early for that registration, and I've never had cold chills like that in my life. I thought, Thorne, what in the world have you done? You got to create a college, you've borrowed money, you've hired a staff, it's poured down rain. What if nobody comes to register? But not 300 came, 600. And our estimates have been all about that bad ever since.
So that was that, would you say that was the only time that you ever felt, hey, this may not turn out?
Well, I don't know that I really felt it might not turn out, but I really had some tense moments wondering if really it's going to work like I was supposed to, and it did.
Thinking about your time as president in general, which I guess was about a 10-year.
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. What kind of tough decisions did you have to make?
I don't know that any one of them really stands out particularly. It was busy. We were trying to do a whole bunch of things at the same time. The biggest problem I had during that time was with the contractor who did the first phase of the college. We shouldn't have hired him, but we did. My insistence, I insisted we hired. Wound up in a lawsuit, and he threatened, whipped me. You heard that story?
Right here.
Okay.
So in the fall of 1976, the North Harris County College, what's now the North Harris campus location, that opened in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was your management style as president?
I don't know.
How would those who work for you describe you?
Well, you have to ask them that. I'll tell you one thing that I've always operated by. I never asked anybody that worked for me to do anything that I wouldn't do myself or I hadn't done. And as a result, I have mopped floors when that needed to be done. The athletic director and I re-left the bulbs in the football stadium because the electrician was too old to climb the pole, so the AD and I did it. I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything I either hadn't done myself, wouldn't do, or hadn't done.
Do you have anything that you regret doing or not doing as president, or while you were president?
Well, I just told you that I regret that we hired Fleetwood Construction Company. We got a good building. I still think the North Harris campus is the best looking campus in the bunch. I like the style of it. I really like it, but it sure was hard. It sure was hard to get it done. I told the architect when we were in the design stage of that building, I said, if I were designing a bank, I would do massive columns, big building that says permanence, so people have confidence in putting their money in it. It needs to speak to strength and security and all that sort of stuff. And I said, I don't know how you translate that into a building designed for a college, but it ought to do the same sort of thing. And I think they did a good job with it. I like the way the building looks. I think it's nice.
So there's the administrative side of things, and then of course there's the faculty side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any disagreements with the faculty?
Oh, yes. What
type?
Well, primarily with Bob Locander and I know his name as well as I know mine. Was involved with Locander in the teachers union. I'll think of it in a minute.
What are your thoughts about the teachers union?
I'm opposed to it.
Why is that?
I don't think that public school teachers, college teachers are professionals. Unions belong to carpenters and plumbers and sheet metal workers and auto mechanics. No, that's not a professional organization.
What makes the professional organization? What qualifies as such?
Well, faculties are fit by definition of a professional group. You know, I think really that when public school teachers or custodians, if you work for a public entity, that's different from working for a profit-making company. And in the past, big business took advantage of labor something fierce, and it gave rise to labor unions. And they served a real purpose, and they protected workers from a capitalist system that was more concerned about the profit than they were the people. But that same sort of situation doesn't exist with public school employees, with college faculty. It's a conflict of interest, as far as I'm concerned, for faculty to consider striking or going on striking, that sort of thing. That just doesn't fit in my book.
And that was a big point of disagreement that you had with some of the faculty.
Oh, yeah. When I wrote a letter to the faculty, there were about a half dozen members of the faculty that were joining the union, maybe more than that, 8 or 10. But some of the people who were not sympathetic with the union at all came to me and said, "What do you think about the union?" And I said, "Well, I'm not in favor of it. But if you want to join, that's your business." Well, we've got some folks who don't know what they don't want to rock the boat one way or the other. They don't want to, they just need to know where you stand. So I wrote a letter to the faculty, sent it to everybody, told them they were organizing a union, and they had a perfect right to join the union if they wanted to. I personally didn't think we needed it. I didn't think it was in the best interest of the college or the community. But the choice is yours, and you do what you want to do. So I signed it and sent it to them. And so I got accused of being a union buster for that story.
I see. Well, other than that, is it safe to say that you had a good relationship with?
Oh yeah, I thought I had an excellent relationship with the faculty. I never had a problem with them, except Will Candler and I know I say that there is teaches English or taught English, and his dad was a union employee at oil plant in Texas City, so he grew up in the union. But anyway, I have a problem with the faculty. I got along fine with them, I think.
Mm-hmm. Some other milestones in Lone Star College history. The first graduating class was in 1975. You remember that graduation ceremony?
First one from out here, you mean? No, we didn't. We moved there. First one was from Aldine High School. Yeah, yeah. One of the first graduates of that first class had already been accepted to the pre-med school at Rice University before she got her degree from North Harris.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just a few more questions. Before you retired in 1982, you set in motion the process of the East Campus, which is now Kingwood, and the West Campus, which is the Tomball location. Did you foresee the college get into the size that it is now?
No, I didn't. Kingwood was actually under construction, and we were negotiating for the site for Tomball, and I don't remember whether we had actually signed the papers on the site for Tomball or not when I retired. No, when we were organizing the college, the other junior college presidents in the area of Brazosport and San Lucido and Galveston and Texas City all said, "Thorne, you don't have any idea what you started. That's going to be bigger than you could imagine." And I said, "Well, maybe so, but I really had no idea, neither did anybody else, that it did as big." And that is attributed to two things. One is, like real estate, it's location. The other thing has to do with the people who followed me, like Jewell and the other presidents who had, well, I'm not sure that if I had stayed as president, that I'm not sure that the college would have grown under my administration the way it has under some other folks.
Why not?
I got out at. Pardon?
Why not? Why do you think it wouldn't have grown?
Well, I think everybody has to know their own limitations. I'm not sure that things like the purchase of that buildings over in the old Compact Center, I'm not sure I would have done that. I think it's the right thing to do, but I'm not sure that my foresight would have allowed me to do that. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, I got out at a good time. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was fun, but it was time for a new leadership.